So this video is sponsored by Pionex, one of the exchanges I use all the time. It's one of the main crypto brokers to Binance, so the volume is very high. The main thing that sets them apart though is that you can use free trading bots, a variety all designed to benefit from different market behaviours, whether that's up, down or sideways. You'll get 20% off all your trading fees for life with my link in the description. And if you join the Telegram, a lot of us already use it, so if you've got questions we can try and help you out. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at EOS then, showing off signs of life, right? Let's just call it signs of life for the moment. So we're still well under the main area of resistance, basically being what I would consider to be the new area of accumulation. The original area of accumulation came outside of this downwards facing consolidation when we finally broke out and went down and above and below. Probably this is a really good example of what accumulation can be like. Really frustrating. By the top of that accumulation all the way to the bottom, we're talking a 48, almost 50% drop. By the center of it, that's what the idea would be, and the idea is to catch it anywhere within there should generally work out okay. But as you see, we meander above and below, and above and below, and above and below, and away. That's accumulation for you. It's a tough old business. It takes a lot of faith. And moving averages essentially don't mean a great deal until the trend begins, and it's basically a matter of, guess what? Accumulating. So what we see here is a similar kind of read, similar kind of vibe, so a massive big move up. This isn't even a consolidation, this is a dump, this is the market crash. Everything was going fine for EOS until this. It would have continued on if it wasn't for the market saying no one's allowed to go anymore, I want to take everything down, and that's what happened. And EOS actually got hit harder than most, probably because it was in the midst of what could have probably gone on to be a parabolic uptrend, and it was just basically just cut off at the source. No, you can't do that. But it was a great setup. We had a consolidation over, accumulation entered, conversion baseline on a weekly was formed around this level on this dump, and then the rest is history. So, what have we got to go by right now? Well, our good friend Lewis on the Telegram pointed out that there's been a nice rounded bottom since 2019, and a rounded bottom of support. The good thing about a rounded bottom well, it's not so good in a bear market, which is technically what this was here, but in a bull market, it's good. Do you know why? Because the rounded bottom of support goes up with every passing day. So if this is to hold, and again we have had moments where we break down below it, so it's not the be all and end all, but it's nice. It's nice to see. If it continues to be support, it means that we're uptrending on support. And guess what we'll be doing? We'll be forming an apex towards the end of November. To be honest, I think this is going to break out of this area of resistance before November. But until it does that, guess what it's doing? It's accumulating. That's all it's doing. It's just accumulating, okay? But with standard EOS behavior, now when it finishes accumulating, it should start to do those big moves up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. So accumulation around the 200 and the 50 and the 10 and every other moving average which is at this area, as well as the rounded bottom of support, might not be a bad idea. Now, obviously I'm not a financial advisor. I've already got my EOS. I'm not buying any more. I've got quite enough, thank you. But that's basically where, well, if I were to buy any, I suppose this is where it would be. And again, just another disclaimer, EOS might not work. It might not work out. It probably will. But if it does, it's not going to be the sort of things that you'll see on Kucoin where they do like 10, 100 million, 1,000%. But the reason for that is that it's an old coin with enormous volume, massive market cap. So what would be realistic on this one? I know a lot of people tout 90, and I did tout the $90 myself when we had such a very good setup. If we had the same setup now that we did before, and the bull market were to remain healthy, then $90 I would still stand by, because this probably would have pushed up towards the $90 area. But because the setup was basically severed, the head was cut from the snake. It's failed. It was a failed. Well, it wasn't failed. I mean, from entry point, it was about at least a 400% move from bottom to top. Yeah, just over 400%. Not that I got everything out. Obviously, I take profit incrementally, and I only took 25% around the $13 area. But like I say, it still was a good setup, and it would have continued. Whether it hit $90, I couldn't say, but I wouldn't have had a problem targeting that. But trying to target a $90 from this area with basically next to no setup I can't do that. We have to take it level by level, reclaiming areas that were lost previously, such as $5.20, $7.40, more or less $10.50, and beyond. So it's got a long way to go, but at the moment it's trying to reclaim the original peak of the accumulation zone, which is $5.20. Once this area is reclaimed and held, and again we did do that around here into September, then September happened, and again at the mercy of the market. It's a very fragile coin, I have to say, EOS. You know, when it moves, it will move, and it does move, and it's shown that it can, and it's surprised people when it does. But the one thing, I suppose, that is extremely negative about it is that it's so vulnerable to the market. It's so fragile. So if the market decides it wants to pull down, aka Bitcoin and the market, EOS pulls back like you've never seen before. It's almost like a bear, like the bear's best token. Like it accentuates any kind of downtrend or pullback from Bitcoin most of the time. So maybe that's why. I mean, I know it's on Bybit. You know, it's available for futures trading everywhere. So maybe it's a bear's wet dream, and maybe that's what it is. So the higher it goes, the more bears stand at the on the sidelines waiting to short it. Perhaps, I don't know. It's just speculative. But either way, we're looking at an area now of potential resistance. Well, it is a strong resistance, and hopefully we'll break through it and reclaim it as support. And then it shouldn't take too long for us to reach our next area up here at $7.40. At the moment, though, I have to say that there's nothing really too endearing about the way that the chart looks on the weekly. Even though obviously we are up 8% today, which is, you know, unlike EOS to be outperforming other altcoins and generally the market, which it is doing. The daily again is just showing just standard accumulation, but the 4-hourly, as you know, again is very much accumulation vibe. You know, up, down, up, and probably come down again. But again, you know, it'll go up and down and up and down and up and down until it decides it is finished with the accumulation and it breaks out. And a breakout for me is going to be made possible above $5.20, and not just a breakout and go, oh, let's go crazy. We want to see a breakout, a retest, and then we'll probably be looking for those 25-30% moves in one day that EOS can do and has done in the past. Now, just to emphasize some other areas of significance for the overall market, this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. I showed a video on this last week. We do have a cup in handle formed on here, and that's one thing to be excited about, because that would suggest that this move over time kind of just goes up quite a lot, maybe doubles, right? So that's the sort of thing we'll be looking at. But we also have this little bad boy here, conversion baseline above the cloud, and Chiku span above the price action. So that is again one of my favorite signals, and this means long-term continuation on this chart. So we've got two really significant things on the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. So this is good for altcoins in general. But the arch enemy to altcoins, which I suppose, you know, sometimes they can just complement themselves, and that's kind of what they've been doing recently, is the Bitcoin dominance chart. And we've come down to test the 20 weekly. So the 20 weekly has been relatively significant since the alt season began at the beginning of the year. So a breakdown here, as soon as we broke down from the 20 weekly, it was kind of game over for it, really. We came up to retest it, rejected, and then basically completely rejected all the way down to the May crash, where we found a bounce, and guess what? We were rejected again and again. So this is the first time as of last week that we opened and closed and opened a candle body above the 20 weekly. We originally came down to retest it, and we rallied up. We've come down to retest it again. Considering the significance of this moving average, I would expect a bounce to form on the Bitcoin dominance, meaning that if Bitcoin pulls back, the market will pull back to a larger extent, meaning that this Bitcoin dominance will actually form a bounce in the face of a drop. Or it could mean that Bitcoin rallies and outperforms the market, which again would cause a bounce on this chart. That's what I would say is most likely. Just because of Bollinger Band strategy, you're 65% more likely to remain in the portion of the Bollinger Band that you're in at the time. So you're 65% more likely to see a bounce than a breakdown. However, that's not the greatest odds in the world. Do you know what I mean? If someone said to me, you've got a 65% chance of surviving this deadly disease that you've contracted, I wouldn't feel enormously filled with hope. So it is only 65%. There is still a large portion of percentage that will break down from here, and if we did break down from here, it would be epic altcoin gains all over again. But again, it's about narrowing the odds. If the odds are, in favour of one side, then I back the side where the odds are in favour of. So I prefer an outcome of a Bitcoin bounce, at least on this first attempt anyway. But that doesn't mean that EOS will go down. It doesn't mean that at all, but it means that it could, especially in the face of a drop. And as we are approaching a resistance, then it would make sense for EOS to drop toward this level. So on the first attempt to break out of the $5.20 area, then yeah, we might get a drop. Anyway, that's just your overview. I think things on EOS are looking pretty good. Again, we're just in accumulation, but the accumulation will certainly come to an end if this rounded bottom of support continues to be relevant as we reach an apex in November into the beginning of December. And when EOS moves, it does move quite quick, quite fast. I mean, we showed signs of life from here to here. 14 days, 98 days it took for it to do a 400%. So no massive big deal. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there, but thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.